Hey, what is going on, everybody? It is Nolan, or the Optimistic Gamer here, and welcome to part 3, the final part of our NFL Stadium Let's Build. Today we are working on the exterior of the stadium, getting the walls built up, and just finalizing a few extra details here and there. Tomorrow, Super Bowl Sunday, in case you haven't heard, that will be the full stadium showcase, the tour. I will be walking through the stadium, talking real time. It won't be a replay or anything. It will be an actual showcase of everything that I have built. But today, it is all about working on finishing up the outside of the stadium. We put the Jumbotron into place and added a few other aesthetic details, opened up the gates here and there. I even expanded the third level a little bit more towards the top. But more on that later. Right now, I'm just working on the walls of the stadium using light gray concrete. I initially experimented with this large circular shape, but I decided to go for a more oval shape because I just thought the long ends of that stadium were way too big, way too far from the stadium itself. It felt a little bit unrealistic. So back to the drawing board on this. You can see that giant pillar right in the middle of the field. That is what I'm standing on to line myself up with the oval. Now the oval is just the hollow cylinder tool from World Edit, but the dimensions of each side are changed a little bit. That's how I can squish that circle a little bit and get the exact shape that I want. Which, speaking of, was this. A oval that was pretty even on both sides, equidistant from the respective side of the field. I built these up in sections of 10, expanding out by 1 block every 10 blocks for a total of 5 sections, and then 4 sections, and then I brought it back in. So it kind of goes out a little bit and then back in, sort of concavity to it, if you will. And then, of course, it would be leveled off here at the top, which is what I'm working on now. Slowly bringing this in towards the middle, just a very gradual slope to it. And a lot of this episode is just going to be very slow overall. This took the most planning and was actually the least building out of all 3 of the parts, simply because I wanted to get this right. This is the image of the stadium that is essentially projected out, and I didn't want to have it look weird because I'm very happy with how the inside of the stadium has turned out, but it's all about really finalizing the look on the outside. So now you can see me down there inside of the stadium, once again working with that hollow cylinder tool, expanding up the third deck pretty much all the way to the wall of the stadium. And of course, on the long ends and the end zone ends of these stands, they would still be flat. They wouldn't extend all the way back to those walls. But you will see in tomorrow's showcase how I've kind of handled everything with these stands. But I wanted to have a lot of additional space for standing room, restaurants, bars, things like that, just different environments to be able to watch the game from inside of the stadium. I wanted it to kind of be state-of-the-art, similar to all of these new stadiums that are popping up all over the place. So I filled in the rest of the stands there, filled in some of the gaps that are left from the circle tool, and then extended those rows all the way back to the top. And then it was time to start filling in the roof a little bit. Now I could have used the cylinder tool and changed the numbers every single time to fill in between all of this. That probably would have been faster, but at the end of the day, I may have even mentioned this in the baseball stadium. Sometimes it's just nice to skip World Edit altogether or just use it in smaller chunks and really bring back that traditional feel of building. There's just something about it that can't be matched. But what I did do is I filled in all of these long sides where it was very easy to use World Edit, and then I just filled in one corner of this and copied and pasted that into all four sides. You will see exactly what I'm talking about here in a moment, but I did fill in all of these sides here. And actually, this will partially be showcased at the end of today's episode, but these little sections right here would eventually be glass, so the stadium will be sort of open to the sky. It'll let in a lot of natural light. Again, that will be visible here at the end of the video, but it's only going to be one side. I ultimately settled on a plus shape for it, so it would be all four sides of the stadium and kind of the entire top oval there. And while I fill this in, I figured it would be once again a great time to talk about the download for this stadium, where you can find it. So I will be uploading this to Planet Minecraft at some point within the next week or so. It just depends on when I get around to it, and it will not be 100% finished yet. I will still have to continue to update it, but the stadium as it is when I upload it will be available, of course, and you can download it and go check it out. It is Java only. It will not be available for Bedrock, unfortunately. So Java players, congrats. Unfortunately, Bedrock, I apologize in advance. And of course, you've heard me say this before, but World Edit is not great on these curves, so filling in by hand is a pretty safe bet. And then just a couple more sections to go, and of course all of those holes in the corners from the circles adjusting as they move in. I would have to fill all of those in by hand as well. Very tedious, but very worth it. And then I did the math on this. The stadium actually seats about 70 to 80,000 people on the scale that I have built it in. It is about a 1.1 to 1 scale, very similar. The football field, basically every block instead of 1 meter is 1 yard. So very, very minor difference, but it does add up when you have this many blocks. So based on that, and then I think 20-inch seats, I forget how wide I went for the seats. I just found the standard. I looked up whatever the standard measurement for stadium seats are. That is what I went with, and then did that for every single block that counts as a stand. And from there, I was able to get that final number, about 70,000. And again, here we are, like I said, with the very slow progression of this episode. It was a lot of manual labor in this part. Not much that World Edit could do beyond the general shapes here. But as soon as I got this finished up right here, you will see in about 10 seconds or so, or how about now, the entire stadium pasted, the roof pasted in where it goes. So now we are going to move inside of the stadium, and this is actually why I have turned off the shaders for this episode. I know it looks a lot better with shaders, but you will see, of course, I have night vision from the replay mod turned on, but you could imagine how dark it is inside of this stadium without night vision as it stands right now. Completely covered, blocked out from sunlight. And don't mind this. This is an error on my part, but as we swing the camera around, I am now still working on some of the seats, working on those gates a little bit, the staircases to get up to each of the sections here, and then of course the ones on the corners pose a little bit more of a challenge getting those to line up the way I want them to, but I eventually did get a shape that I was happy with, sort of similar to the third deck of the baseball stadium, if any of you saw that Let's Build. And I guess I didn't check my camera paths very well. So enjoy the roof of the stadium for the next few seconds. Here we go. So now I'm working on the corner sections here. You can see they definitely look a little bit different, but from a distance they just capture the look that they need to capture. So I was happy with it. I've only done the one side right now. I still have to replicate it on all four corners, but I will take care of that. Hopefully I will get around to that before I upload it and do the showcase. But if not, it will be in a future update of this stadium. So now I was working on a scoreboard, screen, whatever you want to call it, that would run all the way around the third deck at the bottom. And I forget if I made this go on all sides of the stadium or not, but this is black concrete with a white concrete border. Actually, no, I didn't, because on the short ends, right here behind the end zones, the suites are a lot closer to that scoreboard, so they were actually obstructing the view. So I only did it on the long sides here, where the suites were far enough away. Once again, just ignore all of these really bad camera paths. But I did it where the top level of suites on the long side were still able to see. They were far enough from that scoreboard and had a pretty good vantage point of the field. So I added a little bit of a curve there on the ends just to make it look a little more modern, dynamic, all of that up to date. And once again, here we go with bad camera path number 4. Sort of like a transition, I guess. So now it's time to work on the Jumbotron. I originally thought maybe a rectangular Jumbotron, but then I opted for another oval. It just kind of fit with the overall shape of the stadium. Of course, we have that second deck that is oval. The entire stadium itself is an oval. So that is what I decided to do. You will see the border for that right here. 3, 2, 1. There it is. A few alterations to it, but eventually I got a shape that I was happy with. I wanted it to be large enough to really capture that larger than life look, but I didn't want it to be excessive in any way. And this was created in a very similar style to the stadium walls. So once I got that in place, I filled in the black concrete where it needed to go. And there is the screen, and then I just filled in the gray concrete a little bit more around the edge just to give the screen a little bit of a border. So there's the finished floating Jumbotron. Of course now camera path number 5. Bad camera path number 5. So I filled in the top and bottom here, but then I started working on the supports here in a moment as soon as I get this finished up. And for the supports, I would use deep slate brick walls, or maybe polished deep slate walls. Some sort of deep slate wall for this, and well, I didn't really intend on bad camera path number 6 to ruin the whole shot of finishing up the scoreboard here, but maybe we will have a bunch of supports when we go back in. And not quite. Okay, we didn't miss a whole lot. So the supports I just kind of marked out where I wanted these to be, and I did a plus shape with them. I didn't just want singular walls. Dang it. Just ignore. This will all be taken care of in tomorrow's showcase, don't worry. You will see all of the things that I've added to the stadium. But when we go back down in here, we should see all of those supports going into place now. So again, the plus shape with those deep slate brick walls, and I added 8 supports to hang from the ceiling, so it really looked like it was suspended properly. I didn't want it to look too small or unrealistic. The reason I opted for the walls is they just have a little bit more detail to them versus the blocks, which are all flat on all sides. So now I was adding the staircases for the first level going all the way around, just smooth stone slabs set in 1/2 slab from the level of the other slabs and the blue wool. And then I would work on the stairs for that larger side a little bit later. Once again, those corners are a little bit more difficult to nail down. So this area up here, I took out these stands right here because I wanted to have some kind of rooftop restaurant, a very large open area where fans could go and hang out and just sit at a table and be able to watch the game. So I wanted a nice flat area with the stadium seats kind of at a diagonal going in towards those. So I pasted that in from the other side. And actually, because of the way I copied it, it was actually missing some of those blocks. That's what gave it that little curve there. But as cool as that looked, I opted to go for the diagonal because we have that curve down below. Right on the first level, you can kind of see it there. So I pasted that in, extended the stands out a little bit more, and then that was pretty much that. And then that actually is nearing the end of this Let's Build. I really hope you enjoyed this series. If you did, definitely hit that thumbs up button, and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on daily content as soon as I publish it. Tomorrow is the big game, the big day, and of course, another bad camera path as we conclude. But I will have this uploaded to Planet Minecraft in the next week. Tune in tomorrow for the showcase of this stadium, the full tour as it is at the moment. And then right here, actually, we can enjoy some of the glass that I decided to put in. And of course, it would be a plus shape, so the glass would run on the other end as well. But there it is, our finished, almost finished stadium. So again, comment, like, subscribe. Remember to stay optimistic. I will see all of you tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Bye.